Your brain is literally wired to keep you broke, not figuratively, not metaphorically, literally. Right now, as you're watching this, there are neural pathways firing in your skull that were built to keep you poor, to keep you afraid, to keep you settling for less than you deserve. And the worst part is you have no idea they are even there. You think your money problems are about your job, your salary, your circumstances. They're not. They're about a survival mechanism that was installed in your brain thousands of years ago, one that made perfect sense when humans were fighting over scraps of food in the wild, but is now destroying your financial future in a world of unlimited opportunity. Scarcity is a trap. In the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly how this ancient wiring hijacks every financial decision you make, why it forces you to hoard instead of invest, to settle instead of negotiate, to fear instead of act. And most importantly, you're going to learn how to physically rewire those pathways using techniques backed by neuroscience. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. This isn't motivation. This is brain surgery without the scalpel. Let's begin. The poverty program. Before you were 7 years old, your brain absorbed every single thing your parents said about money, every argument about bills, every whisper of "we can't afford that," every sigh when the bank statement arrived. And your subconscious mind, which was wide open and recording everything like a sponge, took all of that and built a program. A money program. A program that is still running your financial life right now. Neuroscientists call this the critical period of development. Between ages 0 and 7, your brainwave state operates primarily in theta, the same state used in hypnosis. You were literally hypnotized into your beliefs about money. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. Think about it. If you grew up hearing that money is hard to earn, that rich people are greedy, that there's never enough to go around, those weren't just words. Those became neural pathways, physical structures in your brain that now fire automatically every time you encounter a financial decision. Programmed for poverty. You didn't choose this programming, but here's the uncomfortable truth. You're responsible for keeping it. And until you recognize it, nothing changes. But this leads us to something even more disturbing about how this program actually operates. Survival wiring. Here's what nobody tells you about scarcity thinking. It's not a personality flaw. It's not weakness. It's a survival mechanism that kept your ancestors alive for 200,000 years. When resources were genuinely scarce, when one bad winter could kill your entire tribe, your brain developed a bias toward fear, toward hoarding, toward seeing threats everywhere. That same ancient alarm system is still running inside you. The amygdala, your brain's threat detection center, fires faster and stronger for potential losses than for potential gains. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman proved this with prospect theory. The pain of losing $100 is psychologically twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining $100. Your brain feels lost twice as strongly as it feels gain. This is why you stay in a dead-end job instead of starting that business. This is why you keep money in a savings account, earning nothing instead of investing it. This is why you negotiate your salary down before anyone even makes you an offer. Your caveman brain screams, "Don't risk it, you might lose everything." If this belief hit close to home, hit like and subscribe to reprogram more of your money blocks. The next one might be the one holding you back the most. But what if I told you that this fear response actually creates the exact outcome you're trying to avoid? The scarcity loop. Scarcity thinking doesn't just make you afraid, it literally makes you stupid. And I don't say that to insult you, I say that because science proved it. In 2013, researchers from Princeton and Harvard published a groundbreaking study in the journal Science. They found that financial scarcity reduces cognitive function by the equivalent of 13 IQ points. 13. That's the same cognitive impairment as losing an entire night of sleep. When your brain is consumed by scarcity, when you're constantly worried about money, it hijacks your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for long-term planning, impulse control, and rational decision-making. Scarcity captures the mind. It changes how we think. So here's the vicious loop. You're afraid of not having enough money. That fear consumes mental bandwidth. With less bandwidth, you make worse financial decisions. Worse decisions lead to less money. Less money creates more fear. And the cycle repeats. You're not failing because you're lazy. You're failing because your brain is trapped in a loop that was designed for a world that no longer exists. Break the loop. But how exactly do you break free from a loop that's been running for decades? That brings us to the neuroscience of rewiring. Neuroplasticity. Your brain is not fixed. That's the single most important thing neuroscience has discovered in the last 50 years. It's called neuroplasticity, and it means that every single neural pathway in your brain, including the ones running your scarcity program, can be physically changed. Your brain can literally rewire itself at any age. Dr. Michael Merzenish, the father of neuroplasticity research, proved that the brain reorganizes itself based on repeated experience. The pathways you use most become stronger. The ones you stop using weaken and eventually dissolve. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't wishful manifesting. This is biology. Biology, not belief. When London taxi drivers were studied, researchers found their hippocampus, the brain region for spatial navigation, was physically larger than average. Not because they were born that way, but because years of navigating complex streets literally grew that part of their brain. Neurons that fire together wire together. The same principle applies to your relationship with money. If you repeatedly activate abundance-oriented thoughts and behaviors, you will physically build new neural pathways that replace the old scarcity wiring. The question is, what specific exercises actually do this? And that's exactly what comes next. The money thermostat. You have a financial set point. Just like your body has a temperature set point that it constantly works to maintain, your brain has an income set point that it fights to preserve. Your subconscious has a number it believes you deserve. This is why people who win the lottery go broke within 5 years. This is why people who lose everything rebuild to almost the exact same level. Your brain has a thermostat, and it will sabotage any attempt to move beyond it. Harv Eker calls this your financial blueprint. It's the unconscious ceiling you've placed on your earning potential, and it was set decades ago based on what you absorbed from your environment. You've been living inside an invisible cage your entire life. Watch what happens when someone with a $50,000 thermostat suddenly earns $200,000. They don't feel successful, they feel anxious, uncomfortable, like they don't belong, and their brain starts creating situations to bring them back down. Overspending, bad investments, self-sabotage. The money comes in and the thermostat pushes it right back out. You're not unlucky. Your thermostat is just set too low. But here's the thing, that thermostat can be recalibrated. And the process starts with something most people completely overlook. Awareness first. The first step to rewiring your brain for abundance isn't affirmations. It isn't visualization. It isn't any technique at all. It's awareness. You cannot change a program you don't know is running. See the code. Here's an exercise that will expose your scarcity programming in under 60 seconds. Complete these sentences without thinking. Money is, rich people are, I can't afford. Whatever came to mind first is your programming talking. If you said money is hard to earn, that's a scarcity pathway. If you said rich people are greedy, that's a scarcity pathway. If you immediately thought of something you can't afford, congratulations, you just caught your thermostat in action. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Most people spend their entire lives reacting to programming they never chose and never examined. They think their thoughts about money are facts. They're not facts, they're recordings. Old recordings from old experiences that no longer serve you. The moment you see a limiting belief for what it is, a programmed response rather than reality, you've already begun to weaken that neural pathway. And speaking of weakening old pathways, there's a specific technique that accelerates this process dramatically. Pattern interrupt. Every time a scarcity thought fires, it strengthens the pathway it runs on, every single time. So the most powerful thing you can do is interrupt it before it completes its circuit. Neuroscientists call this cognitive reappraisal. I call it the pattern interrupt, and it's devastatingly simple. Catch the thought, then consciously replace it. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't afford that, you pause, you take a breath, and you consciously replace it with how can I afford that? That's not denial, that's neural redirection. You're forcing your brain to activate a completely different network, one associated with problem solving and possibility rather than fear and limitation. Redirect the signal. Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz at UCLA used this exact technique to help patients physically rewire their brains. His research on neuroplasticity showed that consciously redirecting thought patterns changes the brain's structure within weeks. Not months, not years, weeks. 1. Notice the scarcity thought. 2. Label it as old programming. 3. Consciously choose the abundance refrain. 4. Feel the new thought in your body. 4 steps, that's all it takes to start weakening pathways that have controlled you for decades. But this technique alone isn't enough. What comes next amplifies its power exponentially. Evidence stacking. Your scarcity brain doesn't respond to affirmations. You can stand in front of a mirror and say, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times, and your subconscious will laugh at you, because it has years of evidence that say otherwise. So instead of fighting your brain, you need to feed it new evidence. Evidence always defeats belief. This technique is called evidence stacking, and it works because it exploits the same mechanism that installed your scarcity programming in the first place: repetition and experience. Start a wealth evidence journal. Every single day, write down 3 pieces of evidence that abundance exists in your life, not fantasies, real evidence. You found a great deal on something. You received unexpected money. Someone offered you an opportunity, a skill you have that's valuable. You are training your brain to see abundance everywhere. Within 30 days, something remarkable happens. Your reticular activating system, the brain's attention filter, starts recalibrating. It begins highlighting opportunities instead of threats. What you focus on expands. What you ignore contracts. You're not creating a delusion, you're correcting one. Scarcity was the delusion. Abundance was always the reality your brain was filtering out. Open your eyes. And this brings us to perhaps the most powerful rewiring tool of all: proximity rewiring. Jim Rohn said you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But neuroscience explains why. It's called mirror neurons. Your brain literally mimics the neural patterns of the people around you. Mimics. When you surround yourself with people who think in scarcity, who complain about money, who see the world as a zero-sum game, your mirror neurons fire in sympathy. You absorb their scarcity wiring without even realizing it. Their poverty programming becomes your poverty programming. This is why the wealthy tend to stay wealthy and the poor tend to stay poor. It's not just about resources, it's about the neural environment. A study from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that simply moving to a wealthier neighborhood increased children's lifetime earnings by an average of 31%. Not because of better schools or safer streets, because of proximity to abundance thinking. Your environment physically shapes your neural pathways. So here's your action step. Audit your input. The people you talk to, the content you consume, the conversations you participate in. Are they reinforcing scarcity or building abundance? Audit your circle. You don't have to abandon your friends, but you must consciously add abundance-minded people and content into your daily neural diet. Because the final piece of this puzzle ties everything together in a way that will change how you see money forever. The abundance identity. Everything we've discussed, the programming, the survival wiring, the thermostat, the pattern interrupts, the evidence stacking, the proximity effect, they all converge on one single point: identity. You will never outperform your identity. If you identify as someone who struggles with money, every technique in the world will only produce temporary results. Because your brain will always find a way back to who it believes you are. The most powerful rewiring exercise isn't what you think or do, it's who you decide to be. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the story you keep telling yourself. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza has documented hundreds of cases where people physically changed their brain structure by rehearsing a new identity in meditation, not hoping for change, becoming the change at the neural level before the external world caught up. Every morning before your feet hit the floor, ask yourself one question: what would the abundant version of me do today? Then do that, think that, decide that. Because when you change your identity, your thermostat resets automatically. Your decisions change, your actions change, and eventually, inevitably, your bank account follows. Become it first. This isn't theory. This is the mechanism that creates every self-made millionaire on the planet. So let's bring this full circle. You came into this video running a scarcity program you didn't choose. A program installed in childhood, reinforced by survival wiring, and maintained by a thermostat you never knew existed. But now you know exactly how to dismantle it. You know about the poverty program and how it was installed. You understand the survival wiring that hijacks your decisions. You've seen the scarcity loop that traps 95% of people. You've learned that neuroplasticity makes rewiring possible at any age. You know about the money thermostat and how it silently controls your income. You have the tools: awareness, pattern interrupts, evidence stacking, proximity rewiring, and identity transformation. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. The scarcity brain took years to build, but the abundance brain doesn't take nearly as long, because now you're not working blindly. You're working with the neuroscience. You're working with the architecture of your own mind. Rewired for abundance. If you made it this far, comment neural upgrade to prove you're ready to delete your poverty code and install the abundance operating system. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more to uncover.